Welcome back to the Amped 2 Own the Mountain guide. In this video, we're going to Mount Bowler, and forgive me for using some effects to brighten up the footage, but this is a dark level, and especially in these videos where we're looking for these specific objectives, these collectibles, I think it's worth enhancing a bit to show them with some clarity. So for the first snowman, we're starting just at the first drop point, Horse Hill. I may call this the Horse Hill Park Run, I may call this the Event 2 Park Run, but the snowman is in that run on top of kind of that octagonal hump of snow. And again, just picking Horse Hill since it's the first listed drop point, you could get that one along with some snowman up above from the top of the run if you want to, but that one's closest to Horse Hill, so that's what we collect there. Now on Wombat, there's several to collect, and I'm going to do a cool little run that I basically borrowed straight from, again, KTWO's 100% run on Speed Demos Archive. I've given so many shoutouts to that, but I basically have to, because, again, it's him making that told me, you know, I was able to find everything and consolidate it into these video guides. I'm pretty bad at searching for things. I like to take the same lines kind of over and over. So if it were completely up to me to find the snowmen and gaps, I don't think I could. But anyway, continuing on this line, you already saw how to get two of the snowmen and just continue across the rooftops. Use the lines the game expects you to get across these rooftops and keep knocking these snowmen down one after another. And then finally, the last one in the run, once you've reached the end of the rooftops, you'll need to drop onto a rail where you will grind over to, I guess, like a clock tower sort of, or something, some sort of tower, where that's how you get to that snowman. And don't forget the last snowman of the run. After the town, head down the street to where the big bulldozer is that you jump off for one of the pro challenges. That's a pretty easy snowman to end on after doing the whole roof jumping exercise there. If it's too tough to get them all in one run, you do not need to do that at all. This was just for video length consolidation and because I thought it would be kind of a cool idea to see if I could do that, and after quite a few attempts, I actually was able to. So the next snowman we're going to collect again from Wombat is a bit tricky. You'll want to get back on the rooftops, but obviously you don't have to take the same big line. You'll want to get up on the rooftop with, I guess, the A-POM or A-bomb symbol in front, but then instead of continuing on, you'll go over to the left, kind of to this patio area. And what you're supposed to do is grind a rail beyond the patio area over to a building across the road. But when that inevitably fails, because I've never grinded that rail, head over to this half pipe and again, click in the thumbstick to get up on top of the half pipe, on top of the building. And the snowman is on the very left side. You'll grind another rail to be on sort of an elevated edge of that building across the road. And so, yeah, you can try and grind that rail across the street, but again, I have never been able to. I've fallen through it every time, so it might be easiest to just start at Wombat, ride around to that half pipe, and then ride up it onto the roof, just straight in one path. But for the last snowman, we're heading to the top of the mountain up to Blue Bullet, and you may have seen this guy, and maybe you have gone for him. From Blue Bullet, head over to the water tanks, and you'll be able to just jump up onto the tank where the snowman is. And so this is kind of what I'm talking about. If you continue in a straight line, you're on that Horse Hill Park Run, and you can collect the very first snowman we did. But yeah, that is all 8 snowmen in Mount Bowler. We did some rooftop expedition, and man, some of these snowmen, pretty hard to find if you were just searching on your own. But with some kind of cool jumps, we got all of them. And speaking of jumps, now we're heading to the gaps. Once again, Horse Hill is the first listed drop point, and there's one gap where that's a pretty good point to get to. Again, ride down the run, and basically next to that octagon where the snowman was, there's a little jump to landing path. Again, with my stats, I actually have to take some of these kind of slow. There's some gaps where my stats work out pretty well, but I'm still overstatted here at Mount Bowler for some of these, especially the third gap we're going to collect. That's kind of tough. You're seeing that we're getting into the back half of the game, and I'm still overstated. I'm kind of waiting for the game to catch up, but So this is another one where you should try these gaps when you get here, especially that one where, based on what your big air and ollie are, you may or may not have trouble with that. That's part of a photo shoot and one of the pro runs. But after that, get over to the park run you could get from Wombat. Not all the way down to the Event 2 run, but over to the park run, and at the end of it, kind of as a transfer between one snow mound and another, is this gap where I spent a while on this because I had to again get a very specific speed with my character so that my big air and ollie stats didn't make me fly over the landing area. That gap is the one that took me like way too long. And again, if you miss it, you basically have to start at Wombat and ride all the way down and lose, some time each time. So that's something to test out with the stats when you get here. But for the other two gaps, we'll start at Town Square, and again, we'll kind of take a little bit of a cheaty path that, again, KTWO showed me. Just right over to the left side of the main town area, right up the half pipe, and you can get to this gap pretty quickly, and, pushing forward after going up the half pipe and turning and jumping is kind of just the right trajectory to get you the right momentum. Otherwise, if you go at that one more from the left side of all the buildings, you may overshoot that or have trouble even getting up to jump at it. So that shortcut, I'd say, is the recommended path. But for the fifth gap, again, start at Town Square and ride down to where the ski lines kind of end, and you will see a jump off to the left side. This one didn't give me too much trouble, but maybe I just predicted it right the first time. You'll jump, and I believe you don't have to land in a grind there. You can land in that general area, but if you go for the grind, then that's a good way to line yourself up. Kind of putting in that extra effort, and hey, if you land in a grind, that probably means you've got it. So yeah, Mount Bowler, some pretty cool snowmen, some pretty cool gaps, but that can also be kind of finicky and can take more time than you'd like it to. But after that, next we're headed to New Zealand, next time on the Own the Mountain Guide for Amped 2, so I'll see you then.